Today I'm going to be doing the Olive Undertone edit. I'm so excited because this video is in collaboration with Colin, aka Queerbones on YouTube and Instagram. If you are not subscribed to their channel, if you like my content, you will love their content. They are a scientist. I'm a data girly, so I feel like we have a very similar way that we approach product reviews and descriptions. They are so thorough and informative. If they do a video on a product I'm considering purchasing, I always use it as a reference because it just provides all the information I need. They're just a wonderful presence on this app and on Instagram as well. So if you are not subscribed to their channel, I highly recommend. They just hit 2K subscribers, which is amazing. And make sure you check out their video after you watch this one, or if you're coming from their channel, hi, welcome to my channel. Okay, so we each chose a selection of eyeshadow palettes and single shadows that we enjoy for olive undertone. So I do have an olive undertone. I have very fair skin, but there is a lot of green in it. They have more of a medium olive undertone. So we may have some overlap. I think I'm predicting one or two of these palettes will also be in their video, just based on what I've heard them talk about in the past. But we'll see. I'm excited to see their video and all their selections. But let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to start with the palettes. The first palette I chose is the Natasha Denona Retro Glam palette. Now, historically, I have called this a very ugly palette, and I do think it is heinous in a way, but I love it as the sum of its parts. I love the different undertones in here, especially for someone with fair skin with an olive undertone. Like, for example, these three like neutral shades, they have a lot of green in them, and I just feel like they are so flattering on me. I just love how these look on me. And then this shade Evergreen, I have almost hit paint on it because I am constantly reaching in this palette to use this shade. I just love the tone of this so much. And then these two pinks too, Holly and Belle. These are the types of pinks that I just like. I just love the way they look on me. So this, the way I'm approaching this is I'm thinking of palettes and single shadows that have tones that I feel just make sense. Like I feel beautiful in them. I feel like they're flattering on me. I feel like they're complementary to my skin tone. And I just feel like the individual tones in this palette flattering, quote unquote, on me. And while I do think they all look kind of ugly mixed up together like this, individually I can appreciate each and every tone in here. So I really enjoy this palette specifically for the mattes and the more like, also this shade Oz is absolutely stunning for layering. So anyway, this is just a beautiful assortment for like a fair olive undertone. Really enjoy this. This is the one of two Natasha Denona palettes I have chosen for this video. So yeah, first one, Retro Glam palette. Okay, next one. I was torn between the Metropolis palette and the Yucca palette. I ended up going with the Metropolis palette just because I've had this for longer. I'm more familiar with it. And I'm pretty sure, I'm like 99% sure Colin is going to include the Yucca palette in their video. So I was trying to mitigate too much overlap. But anyway, the Metropolis palette, watch, they have this in their palette instead of the Yucca palette. Oh my god. This is my first ever Natasha Denona palette. And while I do think this is a pretty repetitive color story, I adore the tones in here. For example, this shade Troop. As you can see, I have a massive pan in this. I love this so much. Just to like kind of lay all over my lid and crease to build up a look. This one is Zoic too. I really love. Just a stunning olivey brown mid-tone shade that I love on my skin tone. I love these two mustards as well. And even like these two more neutral browns, they're a little bit warm leaning, but I love how they look on me. And then these two like satiny metallic shades. I love using these as a base for a more sparkly shade on top. Just like overall, these shades in here, I love how they look on me. I think they're flattering. I feel beautiful when I wear them. And even the shimmers here too, just overall the assortment of tones I feel like is so complimentary. And like I said, it is a bit repetitive. I don't really reach too much for these like super orange shades. This whole half of the palette I love so much, and I love like this column too. It is just a perfect staple palette. Like as you can see, like I have gotten so much use out of it. Next one is the Pat McGrath Mothership 6 Midnight Sun palette. I'm pretty sure Colin's going to have this in their video, but I had to include this. I had to include it. The more I use this, the more I really treasure and realize how special this palette is. Like these three mattes in particular. So when I buy a Mothership, it's not for the mattes, right? It's mostly for this little quad of special shades. But the mattes in this palette are so special too. Like the tones in here, I will reach for this palette just to use these mattes and combine it with like one of my singles or something, because I feel so pretty when I wear these tones. And I have grown to have more of an appreciation for the Pat McGrath matte formula because it is really so versatile. You have so much control over the amount of depth you want to add with it. They're extremely buildable, and all of the shades is like pretty much a transition shade or a deepening shade just by like controlling how much product you apply. These two more metallic shades I really enjoy too for layering, or even they're pretty on their own for a more subtle moment. Love the undertones of these. And of course the special shades they're beautiful. Like this one in particular, I really love the tone of this. I love that it's like kind of a drier, more piecey texture. This purple is so unique and beautiful. I'm just like swatching the whole palette. Let me stop. And then this wet looking topper shade is just so sparkly and wet looking. Like it really stands up to indie shadows. So this palette is just iconic. I feel like this is the most polarizing Mothership palette, but I absolutely love it. I feel so pretty whenever I use these shades on my eyes. I don't recommend ever buying a Pat McGrath palette at full price. Like you can pretty much find these at a minimum of 30% off. I'm pretty sure I paid around or less than $50 for this, and I think for that price it's a great deal. But I would not recommend them at the full 128 or however many dollars they cost. Next palette, first thing that has been sent to me in PR that I'm showing you today. This is the Sorcerous Smoke palette from Unearthly Cosmetics, and this has become like one of my absolute favorites, if not my favorite, like everyday palette. I love the tones in here. Well, first of all, okay, I love the tones. I love these two kind of like muted grungy greens. I love this pink. It kind of shows up a little more peach on me, but I actually really enjoy how it looks on me. We got these two, like a mid-tone neutral, a deep neutral, and then the shimmers are, don't even get me started on the shimmers. They're so special. Like this one, Vervain, is like some of my favorite indie singles, but it has just a little extra oomph to it. A muted rose to gold to green shift. It's so pretty. And then these two like topper shades, Transfix and Sorceress. If you watch my videos, you've heard me talk about these so many times before, but they're beautiful, beautiful dimensional topper shades. And then the star of the show, Potent. This is, like I said before, this is what Urban Decay's Space Cowboy wishes it could be. It is the best topper shade. Oh my gosh. Just absolutely stunning. And like I said, I love these mattes. Like these two greens and then this pink are like some of the most beautiful neutral adjacent shades. I love how they all look on me. So yeah, this has been like such a favorite palette for me. If I tried this earlier in the year, this would easily be ranked at my top favorite palette of the year, but because it's so recent to me, I didn't want to just like supersede palettes that I've had for a long time. But anyway, so in love with this palette. It is fantastic. Last palette. This palette has gotten a lot of hype I've seen on social media, and I think it is deserved. This is another one that was sent to me in PR. This is the Harvest Moon palette from Ensley Cosmetics, and this just has the most beautiful assortment. First of all, this row of mattes is just perfect. It's so perfect. Like these two more neutral shades, Hayride and Cozy, are olive neutrals. I think they look so good on me. This one is a beautiful like transition crease shade, and then this one can be built up to add some depth. And then we have like green, some muted purples. I love these muted grungy colors. And then the shimmers are just top notch in this palette. They're so beautiful. I love this. We have like some warm tone neutrals, some cool tone neutrals. Let me swatch some of my favorites. This one isn't necessarily like one I would say is olive friendly, but I just, every time I look at this palette, I have to swatch Tombstone because I've never seen anything like this. It is the most spicy orange. Woo! You see that? Oh my god. I love it so much. And then we have some of these, like, these are really, the texture and finish of some of these shades is really unique and dimensional. Like these two greens. We got like a warmer, more olive green and then a cooler tone green. And I've just absolutely loved every single look. Let me swatch these two like neutral shades too. These are like some bronzy neutrals and I think they're so beautiful. Like this just assortment of colors. Now I know this is a fall color story, but this is something I'm going to use year round because I just... And I have to, let me just swatch one more, sorry. Hunter's Moon is so unique and I just have to swatch it. It's such a beautiful hollow chrome. So yeah. This palette, I don't know that I've talked about it too much recently, but I've been using this behind the scenes. Like, I've been pulling shades from it to make custom palettes. I've been reaching for it for specific shades, and I actually have reached for it a few times just for the mattes too. Highly recommend this palette. Really, really enjoy this, especially if you have an olive undertone. Let me swatch Equinox too. It's just so pretty. Okay, let me just show you Equinox. This is like the cooler tone version of this shade, and just look at these all together. They're stunning. Okay, now let's do the singles. I have 5 singles selected. It was so hard to narrow down because as many of you know who watch my channel, I'm a very much single shadow lover, but I feel like this is a pretty good assortment and it represents my overall taste in terms of eyeshadows I would recommend for an olive undertone. So the first one, this is a more recent addition to my collection. This is called Fire Ember from Shine by SD Cosmetics. Okay, so this one was sent to me in PR. This is part of their Eternal collection. And this is so unique and absolutely stunning. So it has like this muted bronzy red base. And then it's just packed with all of these dimensional sparkles. It has almost like 2 layers to it. It's hard to tell. I see mostly a shift from gold to green. But you can just see how absolutely dimensional and perfect this is. And I just feel like on my skin tone, this is another shade that I just feel so beautiful when I wear this. I think it just makes so much sense. I love the texture and finish of this too, because it's like, it feels pretty smooth to the touch, but it's so dimensional and sparkly, and you can get the effect of like a super dimensional shadow without having to deal with like texture and flakiness and all that. Okay, next one. Shout out Hot Vegan Hannah for putting me onto this. This is Moby from Pretties for Your Face. This is a shade that was created in collaboration with Ewok Rar on Instagram. And they really created magic with this. It has a satin taupey olive base and then a ton of sparkles packed throughout it. I see like teal and silver sparkles. And the way I love to use this is to, one, I like to use this in place of a matte. I kind of just buff this all over my lid and then I put a more sparkly topper shade on top. And it just creates the most beautiful crushed diamond effect. There's so much dimension because you have the sparkles from this shade and then the topper shade mixed together. The other way I've used it is as a one and done because, like I said, you have that base and then you have that layer of sparkles. It's just perfect. It's weird, but in the best way. And I think just the specific undertone of this is so complementary to olive skin tones. It is so stunning, and usually you can catch this on a sale. Pretties for Your Face often does 50% off sales. You can catch this for $2 and then use someone's affiliate code. I don't have one, but a lot of my friends do. If I remember, I'll list them in the description. But highly recommend this if you have an olive undertone and you like shades like this. Like kind of has similar vibes to like Space Cowboy or those types of shades, but for $2.50. And again, if you watch my channel, you've heard me screaming about this from the rooftops many times. This is Burnish Light from Clionadh Cosmetics. This was sent to me in PR. This is one of their jeweled light multichromes, and another shade I just feel so beautiful when I wear this, and I think it's like all of the tones in this just make so much sense for an olive undertone. So it has a sheer kind of deep gray base, and then from straight on you have this vibrant bronzy orange to gold to green to teal. Like, look at this. I just feel like all of the colors in here just make so much sense for an olive undertone. And I love the texture and finish of this line of shades from Clionadh. It just got me so excited. I mean, I've never stopped loving multichromes, but this line just reminded me why I love multichromes so much. They just got me so excited to use them, like see all the different shifts. Highly recommend, specifically Burnish Light from their Jeweled Lights line. It's just so vibrant, but also so wearable at the same time. I don't know how they did it, but absolutely stunning, especially if you have an olive undertone. Next, honestly, I feel like I could have said any of the shades in my collab because obviously like I played such a large hand in creating them, but I chose for the purposes of this video Sundog. Now this is actually my second Sundog, and I noticed that this one is ever so slightly more purple in the base, and you know, with handmade single shadows sometimes there is going to be like very slight differences in different batches. So the first one I had was ever so slightly more blue in the base, and this one is ever so slightly more purple, but it's still like the same concept, same exact kind of shade. But anyway, muted kind of grungy periwinkle base, and then it shifts from orange to gold to green. And you may be looking at this and thinking, how does this make sense for an olive undertone? But something about this, like when you put it on your eye, and I've heard this from people who have a deeper skin tone than me with an olive undertone too, it just kind of like melts into your skin. Something about it is just so flattering. I love how this looks as a one and done. I love this in a really simple look too. And I've had some friends too who say like they can't wear an iridescent eyeshadow on its own because it looks ashy on them. But somehow this works, which you wouldn't think because of the base. It's like, you know, like a purple base, but somehow it just melts into the skin and looks cohesive on the eye. And I think, I don't know, maybe it's just like the juxtaposition of the cool tone base with those warm shifts that makes it work. But it just works, and I love how it looks. And I really recommend it. Even if you have a deeper skin tone than me, I think that it just somehow works. Obviously, I'm biased because this is part of my collab, but yeah, Sundog for sure, for sure. And then the last shade I have here is La Lune from Terra Moons. This is an OG favorite for me, as you can see. It's gotten a lot of love. And this one has a muted kind of grungy teal base, and then it shifts from a muted pink to orange to gold to green. And this one is just another one that I feel like is just so beautiful. I feel so pretty when I wear it. It's flattering on me. I'm going to sound like a broken record, but it's just why I love it. Another one that I feel like, even though it's kind of deep, it somehow works as a one and done on me on my fair skin tone. And I think the tones in it are just so complimentary to me. I love the texture and finish of it. It's just an OG favorite for me. Like, I've loved this shade for such a long time. But yeah, look how pretty these are all together. These are my 5 single shadow recommendations for an olive undertone, specifically as someone who has a pale olive undertone. Yeah, those are all my recommendations. Let me know if you also have an olive undertone. What are your favorite eyeshadows, single shadows, products, anything in general? Thank you so much to Colin for collabing with me. This was so much fun to come up with and film. I'm really looking forward to seeing their video. But that's going to be it for this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel if you're not already. And other than that, I will see you in the next one. Bye!